Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 450th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, you are going to hear about sharecroppers, stepchildren, ugly ducks, and Jeff Sexton. He's the return guest, Naval Academy grad. Known him for many years. First ran across him, I don't even know, somewhere around 2005 or 6, somewhere in there. Took a class from him, actually. We get into that, talking about copywriting. I got this big old, 30-pound book because of him from our last show. But super smart guy on direct marketing. Does a lot with print, with radio, television. So you are in for a treat. But we're going to get into, you a farmer or a hunter, technology, systems, whether or not to do radio. So bunch of other things. You're in for a treat. As I mentioned the last time, I am recording this before I head on the road. 5 girls, son, wife. I'm surprised we're not taking the dog. I don't know why we're not taking the dog. We're renting an RV. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But it's going to be a good trip, 25 days. And the reason I can do it is because I've got systems. I've got a business. I've got recurring revenue. I've got a virtual business I can consult and train from anywhere. As long as I've got an internet connection, I can do it. So if you would like some tips and tricks on that, there's group training at the 30daysalesgrowth.com, or there's private training with me, one-on-one. Just go to thesaleswhisper.com, hit the talk with Wes. Let's see if there's a fit. I've got 30-day and 90-day options. Not cheap, but you'll get an ROI. Okay, if you're coachable, if you got a good business, it'll help you grow your business. All right. And then I've been talking about the things that I eat and the things that I lift, along with my jiu-jitsu, but thesaleswhisper.com/fitness. Go check that out. Talking about the supplements that I take, protein that I eat, things I take from my aching joints from jiu-jitsu. Go try it out. Let me know what you think. I have been trying them before I recommend them, so that's why I'm starting to talk about them now. I've been on them for a few weeks. And I'm actually going to go see those guys when I'm in Austin. When am I going to be in Austin? Around 16th to the 21st of June. I'm going to swing by and see those guys. So check that out. Let me know. Let me know if you feel better, if you think better, if you sleep better. They have options for all that. All right. And then as soon as you do that, come on back and get ready to take some notes with Jeff Sexton. Jeff Sexton, all the way from Florida. Naval Academy grad. You made me promise to speak really slowly and use small words. So welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm well. How are you, Wes?
I'm good, man. I can't believe it took us this long.
Well, this is actually the second time I've been on.
Oh, man. Well, we should have done it again. I need to have you on kind of regularly because as things change, I mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. November 1st, 2006, class syllabus. How to write more powerfully and clearly.
Oh, man. You're going way back.
That was my exposure to you. You busted out. You made us bust this out. The Associated Press Guide to News Writing, the resource for professional journalists. Do you still stand behind that book?
I like it. It's a good book. Roy actually picked that one out. He loves it. I think it's better than like the Elements of Style, which is usually trotted out as the end all be all handbook, right?
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah. So man, how have things changed, if at all, in the world of marketing, especially as it pertains to the written word? I love talking with writers. I feel like I'm a wannabe writer. But would you say that does everything start with the written word when it comes to sales, marketing, advertising, SEO, blah, blah, blah?
Ooh, that would be a bold statement.
I'm a bold man.
Yeah. Well, I think in there's always this sense of, are you attracting people, or are you going out and hunting them, right? Are you a farmer, or are you a hunter, right? And I think in terms of attracting people, what you put out into the world is really important. And that usually has to begin with a script, even if it's video. Like, we can get on here, we can chat, but if you wanted to make, focused video content to attract people, you'd do a better job if you scripted it, right?
Oh,
and
sure.
So typically it does begin with the written word in that sense.
Yeah, I've done workshops with Infusionsoft. Used to do these 3-day accelerators, and I would go out as one of the coaches, and you're assigned to an entrepreneur that comes in, and it's just like a makeover, like an extreme makeover, right? So one of us is focused just on them. Then we're in a pod of like 5. So there's somebody helping with that. And then there's experts, there's copywriting experts, social media, SEO, graphic design, video, right? So most people need more video. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like, oh, I've done this for 20 years. I don't need a script. And I'm like, how many videos have you done? I'm like, you need a script. Oh, I can. And I mean, I'm a pretty persuasive individual, but sometimes I would let them kind of stew in it a little bit. Like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, let them. You gotta learn by stubbing your toes sometimes.
Oh, and as soon as that red light goes on, there's 2, 3, 4 people in the room. Whoop, they just forget, man. So.
Yeah, well, a big thing is when you show them the drop-off figures for video, like in the first 7 seconds, in the first 30 seconds, and you're like, look, you got to hook them. You got to hook them in the first 7 seconds.
Yeah.
That's when they sometimes are like, okay, let me at least plan the opening, right? Because I know a lot of times one of the tricks for writing, and probably did it in the class that you took, is someone will write something and you'll go a third of the way down and you'll mark it, and then you just cut it off and, oh, well, look, now your thing's better. Right? Because a lot of times people need that first however many words to warm up before they actually drop the turd in the punch bowl and get down to it. And it can be that way with video, right? A lot of times you could record a video, and if you have the magic of editing, you can go and cut out the boring bits.
Yeah.
But if you're not real good on the editing, and you're not that disciplined to take an hour of content and edit it down to 15 minutes or something,
yep.
You better do the script. But, it's like Infusionsoft. I think that's a great, if you are looking for sales, right? In person, face-to-face, or even in-person Zoom meeting or phone call, that's very precious time. That's very expensive time. Right. So what people are looking for is a way to get leads without having to expend that, right? Without having to knock on door, and get it slammed in your face. Right. And so you're either using mass media or you're using digital media to attract those leads and qualify them, and then funnel them into someone to talk to. And that's where the words come in, right? And the mistake people make is they think they buy something like Infusionsoft and they think the technology will do the work for them. Right. And it's like, no, you have to have the actual messaging and content and the attraction yourself. You have to put that into Infusionsoft to make it work, which is why most people who don't hire someone such as yourself fail with Infusionsoft.
Yeah, any platform. I mean, I've used damn near all of them, man. And, there's been studies for 15 years showing how many CRM implementations fail. And people have improper expectations. It is garbage in, garbage out. So it's just, they end up frustrated. And then they blame the software. People would say, oh, it's Confusionsoft. And I'm like, man, you got to map this stuff out. I show people in 10 minutes how easy it is, but they got to sit down, shut up, and listen. And that's not always easy to do.
Well, if you add technology to excuse my wording on this, but a clusterfuck, right? It's not going to it's going to amplify it. Right. So if you don't have a sales system, if you don't have a lead generation system, and you throw technology on top of that, of course it's going to result in confusion.
Yeah.
And most people don't have a sales system, as you well know.
Right. Yep. We're just going to make it up on volume, right? Man, I see it all the time. Like, should most people just not do live streaming? Because most people are pretty damn bad at it.
One of the sort of the masters of digital marketing that I know of is now I left his name, the guy from Digital Marketer, Ryan.
Ryan, yeah.
And he talks about two types of content. There's discovery content, there's community content. And discovery content is kind of what you're putting out to the world and what brings people in. They see it and they're attracted to it, and then they come over to whatever platform you own to get more, right? And then there's community content for people who've already sort of joined your tribe, or to use Dan Kennedy terms, are part of your herd, right? Right.
Sure.
And that's stuff just for them. I think streaming, if you're good at it, can be good community content, but it's lousy discovery content. That would be right. Like if you're sold on Wes, right? Like I need more stuff from the Sales Whisperer, then you could get onto a live streaming thing and be very happy with what you get.
Right.
But for a prospect who's never heard of you before or is hearing for you for the first time, I don't think live streaming is the way to go.
Yeah. I had Jay Bear on way back when, I think like episode 13 or something. Almost 7 years ago. And he was saying the same thing, like social media is a great place to deepen a relationship, deepen an existing relationship, but it's, but just pure organic social media, not PPC, which is really what social media is becoming, right? More of a pay to play medium, but said it's a terrible place to create those leads, and he said, if you're not great at email marketing, you have no business being on social media. And this was 2013. He's saying this. And I was like, amen.
Oh yeah. Email marketing is the redheaded stepchild of marketing, right? It actually is one of the most powerful tools you can have. And it's it gets no love, no attention.
Would you say it's coming back, or would you say it never went away?
I'd say for the people who know how to use it, it never went away.
Right. I
think there's always been the idea that if you don't own the platform, you're like a sharecropper, right? Yeah. And so there's always this thing like, how much attention and time and effort do you want to put into Facebook when they can totally change the game on, right? So, but if if it's your website and you own it and your email list and you own it, and these are people who are in your tribe and they have an affinity to you, people can't really take that away. Right.
Yeah. And and for those listening, if you don't know what he's talking about, and I've seen this with ad accounts. A client of mine, I don't do their paid traffic, but I help them with Infusionsoft and copywriting. And, they had an ad manager managing their Facebook, and that ad manager's account got shut down for work they were doing for someone else. But because my client was under them, they were shut down.
Sure.
Right. During this freaking pandemic.
Oh man.
And they're doing a new launch, right? This is a medical clinic, and they're in like 3 cities right now. And with like, boom, going to be at 12 cities like in 6 weeks. And so they were shut down.
Oh, man.
And that's just the ad account. But yeah, you see it all the time. People get thrown into Facebook jail 7 days, 10 days, 30 days. And you can't appeal that.
No, there really is no appealing it.
And then people realize, oh yeah, I'm building on borrowed land. I'm building a skyscraper. I'm building a manufacturing plant on leased land. And it's a 1-day lease. I have to renew it every day. It's like, what? Oh, but people are crazy. You do a lot though in print, print, but y'all do a lot in radio and TV, right?
Yeah, a lot of radio, some TV, some billboards.
All right. Well, let's talk about radio because, it's interesting because we all fall prey to our own biases and experiences. And, and I always tell people, you are not your customer, right?
100%.
So it's like radio is just not in my wheelhouse right now because, I listen to podcasts, right? stream Spotify. I mean, I don't hear many ads, but most of the world, most of the U.S., right? They're still listening to radio.
Well, yeah, it depends on the industry, right? So if you're B2B, radio may not be a great a great tool for you. One of the interesting things, and just because you mentioned Facebook and medical, is a lot of times people get on digital and they think they have to do direct response, right? If I'm going to do targeting on Facebook, I need to do direct response, which is like, oh, I got to find the top dog, right? And I got to pitch him something. And it's like that may or may not work that well, but there's another way you can do it, and you can use targeted media for branding, right? So you can make sure that in B2B, you're winning the battle for the short list, right? Like, so and where does the short list come from? It usually comes several layers down from where you think, right? The VP of whatever doesn't dictate who gets the short list. Maybe his favorite player gets on there, but it might be several layers down, right? Like the CTO isn't telling them that. Like the frontline managers are telling them that. So you can go deeper in the organization and you can make sure that you have top of mind awareness for your brand for when it comes time for them to make a short list of who gets an RFP, right? And then who gets an RFP determines who gets a salesman in there to actually make the pitch.
Right.
With radio, it is interesting. I do a lot of it because I work with a lot of what I call ugly duck businesses or non-sexy businesses. Mm-hmm. And this is like, and I do like Gary Vaynerchuk or however you pronounce his name. I think he's got a lot of smart things to say. But one of the things that always struck me about him is like, he had a lot of success on social media selling wine. Right? Wine is a pretty sexy industry. People like talking about wine. People like thinking about wine. People like reading and watching content on wine. It's a little bit different if you're doing like transmission repair or roofing or plumbing, right? So that's what a non-sexy business is.
Hey, don't be a hater.
Well, I'm not a hater. I love those things. I'm like, right, you talk about civilization and what people think of when I think of civilization, and you can go lofty with it, but a lot of times it's central heat and air and indoor plumbing and electricity.
Yeah, for real.
So it's not that they're not important industries. It's not that they're not fantastic industries. It's just that nobody wants to think about them until they're not there.
Yeah.
And so it becomes very hard to market them via social media in terms of, hey, you want to hear something about plumbing? No, I don't. So, but it is something that everybody needs, right? And so with radio, what you can do or TV is you can push a message out that people otherwise wouldn't consume and get them to build that top of mind awareness. Yeah. And so the idea is there is no list of everyone that's going to have a clog in the next year that I can market to. Right? You can't buy that list and then start pumping out emails or direct mail messages. You kind of have to hit everybody or as much people as you can and win that sale before it happens.
Right. That's the old Roto-Rooter, that's the name, and away go troubles down the drain, right? You gotta
absolutely, right?
In their head for 40 years later, I'm singing that song. I don't think I've ever called Roto-Rooter, but I think we'll probably have in my lifetime, but yeah, you don't know when things going to back up and flood your kitchen or whatever.
Right. So, and then you're not going to do an exhaustive search and comparison, right? If one pops to mind and you have any amount of good feeling or trust about that person, you just call them.
Yeah. Well, and it's been 7, 8 years, I don't know, 10 years since I've done much driving around. And I would listen to talk radio. Mm-hmm. And I live in an HOA where you can't change jack diddly squat really about your house, right? But this guy, Mesa Garage, where delivery is free, weather stripping's free. Oh, yeah, he just on and on and on. I'm like, I can never buy his stuff, but I still remember his ads. I mean, he was just so prolific. And these other guys, so they would use, I'm forgetting the name now, but they, the two disc jockeys, the talk show hosts would do just it wasn't ad hoc, but they made it sound like it, but it would be live, not recorded. But it was like, hey, do you have like ugly, dirty, nasty, rotting teeth? You know, with this sedation dentistry, and forgetting the exact name, but it's been 7 or 8 years since I've even heard the ad, but it's still in my brain because they would talk about it and they would tell the story, and it's like I've never, other than cleanings twice a year, I've had 2 cavities my entire life, right? I have no reason to listen to a sedation dentistry ad, but it would rattle in my brain. It stuck, you know, also because they were entertaining the way that they did it, so I would keep listening. But
well, that is the key, right? If you're going to try and get somebody to listen to you and they're not in the market for what you sell, you have to give them entertainment.
Right.
And to get back to what you were talking about at the beginning of this whole thing with the written word, the way most of those talk show or talk radio ads are done is somebody scripts them.
Right.
And the whoever the personality is that's voicing them has the ability to go off script.
Right.
And so there'll be places where they can ad lib, but there is a basic script that they're deviating from. Right. And going back to sort of military, it's like the old Eisenhower thing of like the plan is nothing, but planning is everything.
Right. Amen. I got to write that. That was Eisenhower?
Yeah.
Who was it? You know, it said, you know, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy. But
I think a lot. Yeah. No plan survives contact with the enemy. I don't know who that was. It's been attributed to a lot of people.
Yeah. The plan is nothing, but the plan is everything. I got to write that down.
Planning. Yeah. The disciplined thinking of doing the plan, right? And hopefully you have contingencies. That's what helps you to be able to adapt the plan as necessary when it falls apart and still have it work out, right? Oh, there's my dog.
Hey, sounds like mine. In the B2B space, you know, I kind of want to go back to the branding side because most of my advice to most of my clients over all these years, I'm working with smaller businesses and they see everybody and all they know is branding because they see the Coca-Cola ad and they see, you know, Goodyear sponsoring a NASCAR, right? And they think they want a brand. I'm like, dude, you need to make a sale.
Yeah.
You know, you'll build a brand by over delivering consistently to your customers. But what you talk about that targeting someone, I mean, a smaller business could do it affordably, right? If they do it right with this, because they're kind of like exposing themselves in a good way, right? In the B2B realm. So when somebody says, yeah, let's go get 3 bids, right? Oh yeah. What about that Sexton Consulting? Yeah. Let's, you know, like, boss, why do you want to call them? Like, I don't know, but I've seen them around. So is it that kind of almost being unconsciously present to them?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about like from a sales perspective, what makes a really warm lead versus a cold lead, right? And so some of it is need and ability to buy what you're selling, right? Obviously, those are important things. But a lot of it is what their perception of you is at the time. And if you wait until they need what you sell, you have a credibility problem, right? Because they know you're trying to sell them. But when it's before they need what you sell, if you can manage to put that information in their brain, you skip a lot of that credibility objections, right? You can get messaging in there well ahead of time so that when they need what you sell, right, they're a better lead for you because they have a perception of you that's way better.
Yeah.
And when a lot of times when they're making the short list, right, because they only have so much time, they can't do an exhaustive search of everybody in the industry.
Right.
So they make a short list and then they do an exhaustive comparison among those people that they've shortlisted.
Right.
The short list is usually intuitive and reputational. And that's where marketing can do the most good.
All right. I like that. Intuitive and reputation. So, I was thinking about thinking of something that years ago, I learned this in selling high tech. Most companies, most salespeople are thrilled when the phone rings, right? And they get this bluebird. Oh, it'll just land in my lap. And they'll jump into proposal mode. And I train my folks. It's like, that's the dangerous one, right? Because now the prospect has an idea. It's like they've self-diagnosed, or they've had someone else give them an opinion. Now they're coming to you for that second opinion. But you weren't the one that put the bug in their ear, right? Jeff, I need a 12 spot radio campaign with 11 emails and 16 postcards and an ad in the Wall Street Journal. Can you go ahead and bid on that? You're like, all right, maybe that's $1 million gig if you get it. But it's like, maybe the dude doesn't need any of that, and it's destined to fail. I mean, how do you handle these so-called bluebirds, right? Somebody comes into you with this total prescription that they think, and they just want you to fill it. I mean, are you scared by those? Or is it like, hey, that's a good deal?
It's interesting that you say that, because I do some project work, but most of what I do is partnering with the business, and part of that upfront agreement is I'm coming and spending 2 days with you, with my team, and we'll tell you what you need. Right. Right now, you can, once we present that, you can reject it if you want. We go from there. But, I guess the phrase is prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. Mm-hmm. So I don't often get people telling me what they think they need unless it's pure project work.
Right.
And in that case, if they want to pay for the project, that's on them.
Right.
Right. Like, I have the idea that, and since you're Air Force, I'm the ATC guy, but the owner of the business is in the plane. Right.
Yeah.
Now I can look at my radar and I can tell him what I see and what I think he should do, but ultimately he's the one going down with that plane if it crashes.
Right.
So if I tell him, so my duty is to tell him my best advice.
Right.
But when he says, no, I don't want to do that, I want to do this, right? Unless it's, illegal or immoral, right? I'm like, okay, if you want to pay me to do that, I will get on board with your idea, and I 3 bags full, let's full steam ahead.
Right. But then how do you decide when to take on something? I mean, you're right. I mean, it's not illegal, immoral, unethical, but it's almost like just doing hourly work as an attorney instead of taking on a big juicy case on a contingency where you feel pretty good you're going to win big, right? So, all right, I'll do this. Do you have them sign like a waiver? Say, all right, Jeff is going to do these campaigns for me, and I acknowledge that I'm going against doctor's advice, and we could crash and burn.
I actually don't do campaigns that way. If I'm doing a mass media campaign, we're partnered up.
Yeah.
And I've chosen that business partner carefully.
Yeah.
So usually project work is more web stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
They want web copy. They want, email drip campaign. But mass media campaigns, I don't tend to work that way.
Right.
But you're 100% right. The money is in getting long-term for me, the money is in the long-term clients that I can grow and make more money with over time. The money is not in project work. And so I tend to keep the project work at a minimum.
When someone comes to you and they agree to a long-term partnership, have they had similar relationships in the past, or is this maybe were they bouncing around from gunslinger to gunslinger, and this is like their first, marriage, if you will, with a consulting firm, an agency?
A lot of times it's a first marriage. What I'm increasingly seeing is they are either maxed out on Google PPC and Facebook, or they've had a bad run with it, and they're like, there's a better way. Mm-hmm. They're usually at one of those inflection points where they're beyond they're starting to put systems in place and they're starting to look to scale, but it's formative of that, right? And then they're looking to see how do I really take this to the next level?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's sexy, funnels and funnel hack and squeeze pages and Facebook custom audiences. We're going to spy on your competitors and we're going to steal the people right from them with this retargeting pixel, and it's freaking exhausting, isn't it?
It is exhausting. And the way I say it is, look, if I'm on the radio and what town are you in?
Little bitty town of Murrieta, California.
Murrieta. So if I'm on the radio and you're a plumber, I've got you on the radio and it's Wes's roofing, right? I don't want somebody putting in Roofers Murrieta or Murrieta Roofers, because then I'm slugging it out with everybody on PPC. I want them putting in Wes's roofing. And talk about stealing the customer. At that point, it's your sale to lose, right? Everyone else that was waiting to bid on the keyword is screwed. Now they can bid on your name, but they already put your name in the intention of finding you, right? So that's sort of the goal there, right?
Well, that's the goal, but most business owners are too impatient, right? Because it takes longer to get. I can rank on my name very quickly, but it doesn't mean more than 3 people, including my wife and next door neighbor.
Yeah, they don't know it. They don't know the name. Yeah. Well, so if you're running operations, right, you need those sales calls and leads coming in, and so Google is great in that you can turn the tap on and off. What they find is that they get to a limit with that. And so I don't come in and replace that, because what I do might take 6 months or a year to start really delivering to replace that.
Right. So
it's like, keep that going. I don't want to touch that. You keep that going. I've got guys that can come in and take it over and make it more efficient. Right. But you keep doing that. It's just, you have to be at a certain size. Like you said, you have to be beyond the point of, hey, I need a sale right now.
Right.
Right. You've got a system in place. You've got leads coming in.
Yeah.
Now you're looking to grow. And that's a different stage than, man, I need 12 more leads in the next month.
Yeah. I stopped working with desperate people a long time ago, because they'll just they'll kill you. It's like, it's no bueno.
Oh yeah.
Trying to raise them from the dead, right?
you want somebody who's already growing and who's looking to go to the next level. You don't really want somebody where the wolf is at the door and that's not a good client.
I saw something recently, and I forget the exact terminology, but it was something along the lines of, like, advertising is for businesses that are like bad at sales, or some are bad at servicing, or something, or basically saying your brand isn't that good, or you're not that good, so you got to keep spending money on advertising to go get more customers. You ever heard that?
Yeah, the way I've heard it phrased is advertising is a tax for being unremarkable, or something like that.
There you go. Yeah, who said?
Seth Godin is the person who's normally that quote is attributed to.
Okay.
And it's like this. It's like, not everybody is Amazon, Apple, or Tesla. Okay. Especially if you're in a non-sexy business, right? Like, do you really want a unique electrician coming into your home? Or do you want a competent, trustworthy electrician coming into your home? Mm-hmm. So this idea that you need to have a unique differentiator that makes you so remarkable, people want to talk about you and be part of your brand and stuff like that, that's for a very select number of businesses, right? It is not for most businesses that you do business with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, the funny thing is, Apple advertises like crazy.
Well, they do. And
they're still remarkable, but they still advertise. Coca-Cola, I don't know who's never had a Coke. I see them advertised like crazy.
They do. I mean, like most of these brands do, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of a fallacy that you can just be so remarkable. Everybody talks about you word of mouth, and you never have to put any effort into advertising or marketing or sales, right? That's the dream. Like that's the dream of every salesperson, right? I'm representing something that's so good. I just am an order taker. Right. That's the dream of every lazy or second-rate salesperson. Every professional knows that just doesn't happen, right? In fact, I knew a sales trainer who always said that strong brands make for weak salespeople because they rely on the brand so much they don't have to be on their A game.
Right. But that could be okay from a business owner standpoint. I don't have to pay as much money for the hunter salespeople, but I need to be aware of that. I mean, I always use McDonald's. McDonald's doesn't have salespeople. They have order takers because their branding is good and their marketing is good. So you just show up and order. Yeah. And you can do that with minimum wage, pimple-faced, hormone-raging teenagers that turn over at 300% a year and still sell billions of hamburgers. They make it work for sure. Very cool, man. So if somebody wants to learn writing, are you still teaching classes? Do you do that every now and then, or? I do it every now and then through Wizard Academy. Yeah. It's interesting you ask. I was just talking to Daniel Whittington, the chancellor of Wizard Academy, and he is looking to create some online content courses through American Small Business Institute, and he reached out to me to start putting together some of those courses. So within another month or two, I will be doing some courses. Yeah. Nice. They should do a sales training course. I know this guy in California. He could probably help teach one of those. You should reach out and see if they'll book you. That'd be fantastic. And I like whiskey. So, I mean, we got that going. I think you laugh, but I think there's a lot of overlap between the whiskey sommelier course and sales. Yeah. Well, sales is everywhere. I mean, even in writing ads, I mean, we're selling the consumer on giving us their attention. It's salesmanship in print. That's the legendary phrase from, crap. No, I can't even remember his name. And I always say it. I don't know who said it. Marketing. I always say marketing is selling in print. Yeah. The Aristotle of advertising. Man, now I can't, my mind is going. But yeah, this is that Howard Luck Gossage? No, Gossage was way later than this guy. Oh, okay. Scientific Advertising is the name of his book. And Scientific Advertising is still well worth reading, and it's available for free online. Uh-huh. So I'm looking it up. Claude Hopkins. Oh, Claude Hopkins. Yeah. So is he the one that said that? Yeah, he's the one that said that. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, now I can give attribution. I've always said it. I'm like, all these things pop in my head. Like, I got so many books. I'm like, I try to give them credit, but man, sometimes I just don't remember. I have a colleague who always says, if you steal from me, you've stolen twice. and in due form, he took that from one of those, Johnny Carson. Well, what do they say? Good artists imitate and great artists steal, something like that? Yeah, that's right. Very cool. Well, speaking of classes, I am starting in 20 minutes, my first of 3 parts of a new course. So you've got my creative juices flowing just in time to. Perfect. Now, what are you doing mostly these days? Are you still mostly like with Infusionsoft or HubSpot? Are you helping people implement that kind of stuff? Or are you doing straight sales training? What are you doing? No, I still do a lot of software. Yep. And I am actually with this little 3-parter rolling out today. I'm going to start doing more of that. Small group intensives, kind of like a virtual Wizard of Ads class, yeah. Like long, like 3-hour sessions on Zoom, private group, tightly focused. But it's a lot of hands-on, right? It's not just some theoretical stuff. I want them making money from this course by next week. and it could be a small sale. I'm not saying they're going to become a millionaire, but
is this like business owners, or is this salespeople themselves, or both, or like
a little bit of both? This one is because of the whole COVID thing. There's a lot of people having to go online. They were accustomed to just doing things face to face. And I'm like, I'm going to help you make your first 5K without ever meeting a person face to face. Because people, they just don't know. And I've worked from home for myself for, 13, almost 14 years. And I've worked from home in general, even in corporate America, since 2000. So, I've been doing remote stuff for 20 years. And and I've told him too. I mean, dude, I didn't realize I was living a quarantined lifestyle. I mean, this is me, dude. I'm in a t-shirt and shorts. I mean, I go to jujitsu at noon.
I was just gonna say, other than jujitsu, you're quarantined, huh?
Yeah, and church on Sunday, right? It's like, other than that, I'm like asking my wife, do I really have to go to that thing? So, and all these years, I mean, I've sold, if I had to guess, probably 1,000 accounts on it between Infusionsoft, HubSpot, Ontraport, ActiveCampaign, Nimble, and who knows how many ancillary, $30 add-ons. So just through affiliate marketing, I mean, probably thousands and thousands. But even like speaking to people, on expensive software, relatively speaking, I've sold at least 700 or 800 of those. At least where they come to me, we do a demo and they order, but I've literally met maybe 1 or 2% of my clients ever, in 13 years.
Wow.
And so the goal of this is to show some people how to do it remotely, how to tee things up, bring prospects in that are warm, not showing up to grill you and do a song and dance, how to kind of take control of the conversation, and have them make a decision quickly. It may be no, but I've always told people hearing no early is a win.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So let's get to a decision. Let's get to the truth. The truth is, I'm your best choice, or the truth is I'm not your best choice. Let me refer you to somebody. Hey, I don't do all that. I know this guy in Florida. He'd be great to partner with. Let me introduce you. Right. So that's the goal with this. And
navigating a complex sale via Zoom and remote. That's a skill set you've had for decades, and these people need it, right? Desperately.
Oh yeah, man. I've been doing WebExes and Skype, and WhatsApp, and now Zoom, and
you've been at this a hot minute.
Selling like this, man. I mean, like showing up, closing big deals, unshaven, t-shirt. Like, I don't care. You don't like me. This is how I roll, brother. So you either like me or you don't. And besides, if I'm wearing a suit right here, I guarantee you I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops. So let's just be real. So let's just be real.
Man, that is a good-sized mug you've got there.
Oh, man. Somebody asked me the other day, but that way I don't have to go downstairs a bunch, but it's a fat bottom because my kids knock everything off, and my dog. So it's got to be wide so they don't knock the thing over.
Man, one of my daughter's kitten knocked a bottle of Deanston on the floor, an unopened bottle of Deanston, and it just broke my heart. I'm like,
oh, that's rough. Well, I hate to end an interview on a down note, man. So tell me something positive before I hit end here. Or stop.
Well, I think, as always, in times, interesting times, challenging times, the people that are able to adapt come out of it with the ability to really kick some ass and take some names. And in marketing, the people that figure out how to continue to market through a downturn like this always just kill it on the other end of it.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, teaching them how to continue to make sales. So I think this is as weird and hectic and strange and a shit show as you might want to call it. I think it's a time of opportunity for those people who are mentally tough and willing to adapt and overcome and innovate, right?
Yeah.
And say, well, this battle plan met reality and it's trash. Now we're going to go to something else.
Yeah, at least we know what not to do.
Yeah. So if you're tuned in listening to this, you're tuned into the right guy, and you just need to get more of that content.
Amen. All right. Jeff Sexton from Pensacola. Thanks for coming to the show again, man. It's been great catching up.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, good to see you.
Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. I've used that analogy so many times. I maybe even learned it from him. But it's so accurate. Advertising is a tax for businesses that are unremarkable. Seth Godin, yeah, there's some truth in that, but it's an ROI thing, right? If you can advertise and the money you spend comes back with friends, why not do it? So get after it. You do need to understand the impact that everything you have, everything you do, how it impacts your brand, how it impacts your business. I've always said, to make any sale, you must make every sale. Your jingle, your logo, your tagline, your email headlines. I mean, it all adds up. How do you greet people? How do you look? It all adds up. So if you have great advertising, great marketing, but terrible sales processes, yeah, good luck with that. It ain't going to work. You need to be incorporating, bringing everything in together. I don't have the expertise of Jeff on the media buying and things like that. But from the copywriting, the creating the messaging, getting into the mind of the prospect when you engage with them, you betcha I do. And that's where so many people leave off. I love his quote at the end there. Strong brands make for weak salespeople. I think social media, all this hype has made for weak salespeople. And it's biting people in the butt right now between COVID and the riots, and there's going to be all kind of chaos for the election. You better have good salespeople. You better have processes. You better be able to reach out and touch someone, make the phone ring, and get people to make a decision. And you do that by getting to the truth. And you do that by having systems and processes, role-playing, proven scripts that engage the prospect, get them to open up, get your salespeople to not act like cheesy, pushy, boiler room, polyester suit wearing, gold chain, chest hair showing, just old school, yucky salespeople. Don't be like that. So many people still are. You want to move the needle? Get better on the phone. Get better in person whenever that happens. Get better on video. Get better in the negotiation. Get better in the probing, uncovering. That's what I do better than anybody. You can get that help in the 30-Day Sales Growth group, 30daysalesgrowth.com. You can get it in one-on-one, or I can do it for your team remotely. I'm training clients from Miami to Nashville to Louisville to Denver to right here in my backyard, Southern California. So it applies in any industry because humans are humans. So come get you some. Check out thesaleswhisperer.com. Hit the Talk with Wes, and let's see if we can work together. All right, but let me know what you're eating. thesaleswhisperer.com/fitness. Get you some. Get some good sleep. Get some energy before you work out. I've been taking Shroom Tech before my jiu-jitsu rolls, Alpha Brain, krill oil, protein bars, all good stuff. Check it out, all right? And let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to join the group, theimplementors.com. Now go sell something.